Hello everyone, welcome to this series, and in this series we'll talk about how you can extend your Wi-Fi network into your home or maybe in office anywhere. There are multiple methods though, like to solve this problem. However, we'll get into the four top solutions that we can use to extend the network. If you can find any other methods that may be useful for you, then definitely comment and I'll just get back to you with another video while explaining about that topic. However, without any further delay, let's get into the series. Okay, now let's head over to different methods that we can use to connect these two routers. I'll just name this whole series as linking routers because our main purpose is that only, right? To link two different routers. Not only two, you can use much more. But for example, we are just considering two. Okay, so we have two router as you can see. One is primary router and another one is secondary router. So our primary router is the router that we are using to get internet and is connected to some modem or maybe the ISP to get the internet, and we are using the Wi-Fi also to get use the internet. Now we have secondary router that we want to connect, and that is our challenge, and we want to connect it to the primary router and get internet through it. Okay, so let's talk about the methods first that we can use, then we'll briefly discuss each and every methods in details and how you can configure those in your router. So our first one is access point switch. That means we'll be connecting the two routers, the primary router and the secondary router, through a LAN cable. That means routers will be connected wired. Okay, there will be no wireless connections to make those two router connect with each other. So only the wired cable will be used to connect those two routers, and then we can use our secondary router to use as a wireless AP. Okay, we can host different APs also. We will talk about these details later. So let's move on to the second option that we can use, that is the repeater bridge mode. So in this mode, what we'll do, we'll first need the secondary router as a DD-WRT router, and there should be a DD-WRT firmware. That is the requirement, and we'll connect the secondary router with the primary router through Wi-Fi, and we'll host the same SSID in our secondary router. You may change that with virtual AP, that also is fine. So that depends accordingly, but the main funda is here. We will just connecting through Wi-Fi, and we'll be hosting another Wi-Fi in secondary router. This is the main point. Now on the third section, what we'll do, this is the third mode, that is the station mode, a station bridge or station bridge routed. In this mode, what we'll do, we'll connect our secondary router that must be DD-WRT image installed, and we'll connect the secondary router with the primary router using the Wi-Fi. But in the secondary router, we'll not host another Wi-Fi. We'll just use it as to provide network through wired sections. So that means any device that wants to get internet from secondary router should be connected with wired sections. That means with RJ45 cables or maybe another LAN cables, right? So that will be the third options, and the fourth option is the most famous ones are this WDS. That means we'll be connecting all the routers, not only dependent onto like one or two. We can use multiple routers, and these routers will be connected through Wi-Fi only. And the best thing is here, you can use all those routers in a mesh, like you can use all of them as a mesh network. And the best part is like any routers that supports WDS, you can use them, but the recommend one is use identical routers. That means if you have your primary router as Archer C60, TP-Link Archer C60, definitely the other two routers, if they are Archer C60, then that would be great. However, this is not a must case scenario. Like you can use different routers definitely with those which have the WDS options. Now we'll connect with WDS mode. The difference between the WDS and the repeater mode is that In the repeater mode, you only need a DD-WRT based routers, right, for the secondary router. And in WDS modes, all the clients that you have in common, the client list will be synced with all of the routers. That means if you connect any device in the secondary router, the primary router will also know that this client is connected, and they have a sync of all the clients. But in repeater mode, it does not have those. So why the repeater mode is there? Like, we can use the WDS, right? So the repeater mode is generally created for the old routers or the routers that does not support WDS. So in that case, the WRT team decided to make another mode which for those routers which does not support WDS, correct? So in these scenarios, we can use the repeater mode, but the best thing is to use WDS if you have. If you don't have, then we can go for the repeater mode. That's why, as this repeater mode is generally developed in for this case scenarios, it needs a DD-WRT router. Okay, so that is the thing. We'll discuss this four methods detailed into each videos, and how to configure those. It's not recommended to use a DD-WRT based routers for each and every connection. So I mentioned that it is recommended. We'll be using DD-WRT. Otherwise, for each video, I'll be using DD-WRT router for secondary router. You can use any router if it is not recommended to use DD-WRT router. For primary router, you can use any router. That does not depends according to your test scenarios. Okay, so that's all. Let's meet into the next sections.